It is Bones, and I'm gonna do a quick little collection overview video here. Now, I have been out of town for the last 2 weeks, but I am gonna try and catch up on some vids coming up here this next couple of weeks. Now, however, when I have had time during the evening, I have been doing a lot of stuff here in the office. Now it's been getting pretty hectic. I've added a couple of little shelves and then moved a lot of stuff around and opened a ton of figures that I've just, been neglecting over the past year. And I really wanted to get through a lot of it so I could start the next year fresh and not have so much backed up unopened boxes that I want to get through. Now this video is going to be pretty all over the place because it's just got a lot of stuff that I want to get through in this one. But first up, I did finally open some 2-packs that I've been really wanting to open up, especially because the way I rearranged my collection, I kind of needed 2 of the figures out of the box. Now I did go ahead and finally open up the armored Batman and Superman 2-pack. Now, of course, this is the same Superman that you received in the original Build-A-Horse wave. And the way I want to do my setup now for my figures, I just needed these 2 open. Now, they don't come with much accessories. They do come with their cards. You do get the Superman card and the Armored Batman card, and they are different than the original releases. But also, one of the main differences is that the Armored Batman head looks more traditional to the graphic novel, to the Dark Knight Returns. Now, when you put them next to the old release, you could tell the difference. The way that older release is more like an amalgamy of like a movie version of the armor and a comic version, and this one is just strictly more Dark Knight Returns. Now, the other main thing that they did come with was this like standard little, McFarlane diorama. It is pretty hollow and light. There's a lot of stuff you could add paint to make it pop a little bit, like a tire and a stop sign and a trash can. So you could actually repaint this to make it look, a little bit better. But I don't really use these, especially the way that I'm displaying my figures right now. But eventually, I would like to display the 2-packs all on their bases, so I do still have all of the bases. And as I said before, not really any big differences, except that the armored Batman has a different head, but the Superman is basically the same figure. Now, the other one I wanted to open up was the White Knight Batman, but with the swords. And it comes basically with another one of these armored Azrael Batmans. Now, we've already received this figure kind of the same way we received the Superman, and the only difference was the Batman figure. Now, this one did come with some cool stuff like the swords. You also have your little sheaths that it comes with that taps into the back, and then he does come with his like rolled up rope with a batarang, so that's always appreciated. Now, I did find that if you could find these they're like cocktail swords, but they're like a little bit more metal, but they do have a guard on there, and they actually do fit in the sheaths and in the hand of the Batman. But if you were to get 2 of these, you could actually replace those swords, but they don't really bother me too much. At first I thought they looked kind of big, but then in the end, they did, look okay, especially in hand. Like when you put them in his hand, not too bad. So I am going to go ahead and leave them like that. But of course, I opened these up to go ahead and display them on my collection shelf. Now, I did change a little bit of stuff over here. Basically, starting from the top, I do have like the Bat Raptor with a Batman in there, the Batman 1000. And then I do have Lex Luthor on the throne, the armored, like Darkseid Lex Luthor. You do have your Joker Dragon there, and then your Death Metal Batman on the cycle. And then you have your White Knight Batman with his Bat Cycle. I just like to make those little displays like that. And then I've also added a Dark Knight Returns horse with the Batman on top of him. You have your Robin there hanging in the air. Pretty cool little dynamic pose. Now all of this is because I changed the order in which I have my figures displayed, because at the very top I have my video game figures and my animated, because those are kind of like my least favorite or the least ones that I look at. But I do want an animated shelf, so that goes up there. But I tried to rearrange these now in way of release. So the way McFarlane released these figures is kind of the way I ended up putting them. So you have the original Batman 1000, the Superman, Nightwing, Batgirl, and the Batman Who Laughs, which were all from the first wave. I do have Harley Quinn there. Then you get into the Hellbat armor, the Superman Unchained armor, and then you just keep going down the line. Now these are the way these figures were released, which is pretty cool. You have your Dark Knight's Metal there, my favorite Batman McFarlane figure, the Grim Knight, Dawnbreaker, of course Murder Machine is up there. Then you get into your Rebirth Flash and Joker. Moving down this way, you have next that death metal wave with the Tyrant Batman Who Laughs with the wings. You have that Rebirth style suited Batman from death metal, the Robin Crow, infected Superman, and then it goes down the line. Finally got a Red Death in there. One of my favorite figures, the Red Hood, and the Thomas Wayne are there. It just goes down the line the way they were released, but I do have all the figures that McFarlane released. Now it's kind of hard to track down all the figures the way they are released, so if any of them are out of order, let me know. But I kind of sometimes I have to kind of guess of the way they were released, because it's kind of hard to pin it down. But you get down to the bottom, you got your Bizarro, John Stewart, the golden Hellbat armor. I just have them all down the line. It just seems like an easier way to put them, to display them and put them in a row that I really like to see them in. Here in the front, we have that first Todd McFarlane Wonder Woman, the infected Shazam, the 2-pack here of Hal Jordan and Dawnbreaker. Now, I'm still working on painting the cape for that year 2 Batman that I switched out the cloth goods, because I'm not a big cloth goods fan. So once I paint that blue, it's going to look pretty sick. Going down to, all the other releases that have been released, of course, there's going to be the White Knight Batman with the sword pack, one of my favorites. The Reverse Flash up there, Superboy Prime, and of course Lex Luthor with the cool side eye, and then the Hazmat suit Batman. And then jumping down to the lower levels, you have all the 3 Jokers releases there. Pretty cool. Then you moved into the Dark Knight Returns, which goes into the horse display. And then now these lower tiers, I'm going to have to rearrange them, because of course these are all out of order. But basically this is where I'm at now. I do want to add one more tier below. That way I could add any of the newer figures. So I'm still not done. Of course, like I said, eventually I'm going to want to make different displays, like all the 2-packs with their actual, little platform, which will make, because like these guys came with this flame one that's actually pretty cool, translucent plastic. But eventually, when I get a bigger office, I want to actually have each 2-pack with their little display. So that's going to be pretty cool. And then I will find some way eventually to display the cards. Like, of course, these 2 came with the different cards that they come with in the 2-pack. You have the Batman and the Azrael. So having a lot of fun moving all this stuff around. It is a pretty tedious work. Now, another thing I've always wanted to do is I did want to add a live action movie display, because I never really had that. Now, usually back here behind me, you would see that I have those little, they were like movie sets that had a little figure that I would buy at Best Buy. And I basically had all of them except I think I was missing the original Wonder Woman release. And just never got to track that one down, but I did have all the other ones, you know, Flashpoint, Public Enemies, my favorite, Under the Red Hood, that Justice League New Frontier, which is another favorite one. All those were always set up here behind me, and you would always see them on the shelves back here. But eventually I moved them to another shelf, just made more space, but they're still in display. I just have them, you know, out of the way to make room for the movie figures, which I know is going to be a lot more to come. So I had to make space now. This also meant that I had to open tons of figures. And you think, you know, you open one figure, it's not a big deal, but try opening 30 figures in a row, and it, it does get kind of annoying a little bit to, you know, open all the packages and flatten the boxes, and it was just a, you know, a hard time, but I finally got it done. Now back behind me you will see at the very top that is going to be, I have most of the Justice Leagues there. I have the Steppenwolf, the two versions of Darkseid, and then all the Justice League figures that I have there. A lot of custom work I did on these, repainting. I resized the Wonder Woman to make her shorter and added her shield and her sword. And then, of course, my two awesome repaints of the tactical armor from Batman. And, of course, the Henry Cavill Supermans are there. So, had a lot of fun when I did those. But for now, they've just been up there. And now I have more room. So, I did go ahead and add the Black Adam figures. Now they're all there. Atom Smasher, Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and then, of course, the Black Adam figures. Now, I did make a little spot for the Throne one, which is one of my favorite ones. You know, also the Cloaked one is pretty cool. But I did leave a gap in the back, and that is because I'm going to put Sabak there. But I kind of want to review that one, so that's one that I didn't really open up, you know, off camera. So, a lot of work going into this. Now, when you go below that, of course, up here I have the Suicide Squad figures, which I always wanted to get to. I just could never get around to it. But I do love that little series. I mean, aside from wanting a Ratcatcher 2 figure and a flag would have been pretty cool. Maybe even a Weasel in there. But it is what it is, what we got. But I do love these figures. Now, I do have 3 versions of King Shark up there. I have the gold label that was supposed to be a Bloody Mouth version. I do have the regular Build-A-Figure version. And then I have another Build-A-Figure that I actually added the pants, like inmate pants, like when he's first at the prison. That's pretty awesome. Then, of course, I have my Peacemakers. I do want to repaint a lot of these. I do have custom weapons. You have your Bloodsport, the 2 versions. Harley Quinn, one with the javelin, and then one with some pistols, like in that scene where she escapes. So, a lot of cool stuff in there. You do have Polka Dot Man. I did customize it to where I have a figure where he's blasting with both hands, and then the other one has the like little gauntlets closed up with the goggles up. So, like I said, really something that I would have liked to make a lot of videos on. Maybe eventually I will do some, just, you know, if I do more custom paint on those. But I am finally happy to get them open and get them on the shelf. And then below that, we start in with the Batman, the Battinson series, which is another pretty cool little line. I mean, they're not all perfect, but I am missing some. Eventually I will get them. I do have the both cycles there, and my custom Batman that I did with the magnetic, you know, piece for the grappling gun. I have a video on the channel, or you could check that out. And then in the back I do have the TV versions of Arrow and the Flash, just because that's going to be like my live action, you know, shelves. Now what I do want to do is the way I have on this side, I actually have all my old DC Universe Classics 2-packs and then some Mattel figures. But I have them like with tiers. That way you could display more figures. You just gotta put like some kind of, you know, level across to get your figures to stack up. But this took me a long time to get the way it is. I do have my 2-packs and Mattel's on top, and then the 5-packs, which were also from DC Universe Classics. And then below that I actually have like a little display for the final Mattel figures, the Strange Lives of Batman, and then all of my Manhunter robots with some Green Lantern figures in there. Below that, I do have all my collectible figures from Mattel that are also pretty cool to have in display down there. But eventually, I'll get this all figured out to where everything has space and looks cool. But right now, it is a big work in progress. Now, another thing I've been doing is actually, since there hasn't really been a lot of figures that have been coming out, recently, so I've had time to catch up on other stuff. So I did get a whole nother set of Dark Knight Returns to keep in my unopened mint in box collection. Then I did also pick up a whole set of Endless Winters because I did repaint most of those. So now I want to have like some unaltered versions, and then I also want to have another set to keep mint in box and take those to storage. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that I have to go through for because McFarlane DC Multiverse is like the main line that I collect. Now I did build an extra horse from the Dark Knight wave, and that one is actually going to go with my Phantom from the Defenders of the Earth. I also have a set of those. Of course, as always, I'll have my DC Universe Classics loose collection, which is right here to my right. But then I also have all of those figures mint in box in my storage, so those will always stay unopened. Now, another thing I've been doing is I've been hunting down the gold labels from McFarlane. I have been able to get 3 of the Shazam and 3 of the Dark Flash, and I've also picked up 3 Parallaxes. So basically, that's my limit. I only pick up 3 of each figure. It just depends. If I come across another Dark Flash for cheap, I might pick it up to start army building those ahead of time. I also picked up 3 of the Azrael Batman, so I have one here on display, and then I have one here behind me. So tons of fun collecting this whole series. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff I got to get through. I still have tons of undone videos that I want to do, undone customs. I have behind me is my custom shelf where I have a lot of repaints, and I even have things that I started to do but I haven't finished painting. So hopefully if I get more time, I could get into all of that. But it is what I've chosen to do. It is pretty fun. Once I get out of work and head here to the office, I do a lot of different stuff. But I will be coming out with some more reviews, and we'll see what McFarlane releases here in the next future. But you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.